In today's video, I'm going to share with you some easy tips on how to scan and build a watch list. Now, your watch list might be different than the one I'm going to present here. Obviously, it's going to be focused on the stuff that you want to trade, but I'll give you some criteria to give you a little bit of insight on some simple things that you may want to use in order to build a watch list that could be more potential to break out or things that are tradable, because there's just a lot of stocks out there. Anyways, let's kick things off. Let's get started. This is ThinkorSwim by TD Ameritrade or Schwab. I also have TC2000. So your scan is going to be different construction in whatever software package you use. So keep that in mind. For me personally, I could build it on either one. I'm going to use ThinkorSwim right now. I think it just might be a lot easier. So if we head on over to the scan tab and we go to all stocks, I'm going to give you some of the criteria and concepts, but you might evolve things further depending on your personal needs. So the first thing we're going to take a look at doing is scan a predefined list like the S&P 500. So normally when you do a scan and you just kind of go through and open it up, one of the big issues for these scans is when we start doing a scan and we do all stocks and stocks open between $11 and $999, I've got 4,502 matches. So that's a lot of stocks to filter through. So how do you know which one to trade? That's the big problem. Sometimes this sea can be confusing and you're just like, oh, which stocks do I trade? And that's why having a filtered watch list is good. So rather than doing all stocks, we can go to this top area and then we can go to category and you can see all stocks, all symbols, yada, yada, yada. So what we can do is create our own list, or what we can do is go to maybe something like the Russell 3000 or the S&P 500. Let's say we go to the Russell 3000. Now I've got something that's a little bit different and it's more filtered. Rather than 5,000, I got 1,118 matches. So that's a bit better from a basic concepts. But I'm going to show you in part 2 here, or filtered condition number 2, choose something that's optionable. That'll give you something that's a little more liquid. So rather than doing the Russell 3000, I could actually go to something right here and just go into the weeklies, where now we have weekly traded stocks. And now when I scan for these stocks, I've got 475 results. So that's a lot better. In TC2000 here, as we build a watch list, if we go into filtered conditions, you can see this is optionable stocks is true and the stock is optionable. So that helps narrow down the field as well in that case. Now, in our case here, these are weeklies. So that means it's also beyond just optionable stocks. It's also stocks with weekly options because ThinkorSwim has this feature. So we can actually go directly into that. So I find that's a little bit more precise or specific. Okay, criteria number 3 is stocks above $8 per share or has some potential to move. So you can see right now I've got stuff 11 plus. We could do all the way from 0. If you start with 0, you get a whole bunch of other stocks that are super, super cheap. And you can see these are really cheap stocks. So we don't usually want to trade those. That's why I say, start somewhere around 8, 10, let's just say 12 bucks. And when you scan it, you've got 475 matches. So that's pretty good. Now, if you also don't like to trade those high-flying names, maybe you reduce some of those names to like $350 per share, and now you scan, you eliminate 25 of those. So now you got 450. Your goal is to get to a high-quality list of stocks that you want to trade, because otherwise you're going to have a ton of names out there, and you just don't know which ones to pick. And you're trying to find the best candidates for your system, your strategy, your style, your risk tolerance, and what you're doing. So, okay, so now that I've got those matches, that's the starting point. Next thing, and the last thing I'll point out here for you, is the volume of about 500,000 or more kind of on the daily. So this we have on the open, but what we can do is add another filter area here. I can do stock, and then we can go to volume. Okay, so there's the volume. You can also create a volume where it's the 20-day moving average volume or the 20-day average volume. But I'm going to go with, let's say, over 500,000 is a good starting point. I'm going to go with 750,000. And what you'll see here in just a second is as we scan that, and we get 370 matches. Okay, so you can see what it did is filtered this. Now I've got only 370 matches. If you want even more active stocks, just go to, a little bit more volume here. And now you'll get, look at that, 312 matches. So now you're starting to narrow down and fine tune some of these stocks and candidates. You can even sort by volume here, and you can see the largest ones here was Rivian, SQQ, Tesla, Roblox. So some of these were the largest traded here today, but you can resort these by volume, and that kind of gives you a nice little area. Another thing you could do as a bonus is if you don't like trading also cheap stocks, you can switch to market cap as well if you want to switch to something a little bit different and add in that parameter. But I find just dealing with this is a good starting point. So now you've got like between $20 and maybe $80 could be a sweet spot for some people, and you've got 172 stocks. So that's a little bit more manageable. The other thing you could do is when you start looking at some of these, you can also go in and really just cut a bunch of these out, because usually you want to fine tune based on liquidity, and just kind of cut it in half by, let's say, the volume. And I'll just go to like 3.5 or 3.2 million, and now you've got yourself 96 candidates. So there's a lot of stuff out there. When you start looking at all these things from Wells Fargo to GM, eBay, and so on. And this is a good way to kind of filter down your watch list. Otherwise, you're starting out with like 4,000 candidates, and that's just too many to deal with, and too much to play around with. So anyways, I hope this helps to get you started. After that, what you could do is filter things out based on, hey, the stock is breaking above a moving average or breaking below, or the recent price change is this or that. So there's a lot of other things that you could do afterwards. But as for building a basic watch list, that's kind of starting out with some general candidates. And then after that, you can add in scanning based on an indicator, or based on a price break, or based on a price movement, 52-week highs, and much more. But for just getting started, this is a starting point. And then the next part would be to maybe add in like a study of some sort. I'm on the paper trading platform, so it doesn't let me do that right now. But even here on the stock size, market cap, you can add in a few other things in here that could be really beneficial. Anyways, I hope that helps. Truly appreciate you sticking with me. Feel free to check out tradersfly.com. There's a lot of knowledge and information in there. There's also a technical analysis course that I worked on not too long ago, so I highly encourage you to check that out. 6 hours plus on the technicals, so you can continue to learn much more knowledge and insights about technicals. So anyways, thanks for joining me. Truly appreciate it. When you're ready, hit play on the next video, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.